Want to break down on some of the latest topics from college to the pros? We interview many individuals to share their knowledge about the news stories surrounding the teams and its players. This is Nothing But That Sports Talk. Welcome to Nothing But That Sports Talk. I'm Rafique Louison alongside Darrell, also known as Real TV. What you go do? How is college up there?
I mean, college is great. I mean, I'm thankful, should I say, for all the opportunities that I can get, the resources that is up here, that can help advance my career. So everything's going all right. I can't wait back home in the city. I'll tell you that right now. I just had some food. It's not that good up here. The food is terrible up here. So I can't wait to come home and get a good meal.
Well, I don't really eat any campus media food like that much. I mean, I mostly eat it from the stands or outside. I don't really eat from the campus food you're talking about. But yeah, that's something on the side. But what I do want to talk about is the most unusual playoff series we've ever seen in our lives. Like, literally, how is it that a team gives up one of their best players in baseball, who signs a 10-year contract with a team that didn't make the playoffs just for the sake of making money, and they go on to win a championship in a series where the road team has won every game? I'm just going to say congratulations to the Nationals, number one, and number two, how is this possible?
I mean, it's possible by, you ignoring the noise and gathering the troops around together to be like, listen, we're going to win this championship. Bryce Harper is a special talent, and he's probably one of the most box office guys in baseball, you know what I'm saying? So he signed a big contract, he left them. That's the power of free agency, when you could be able to leave and dictate your future. A lot of guys take the opportunity, they look at the situation that they're in, they feel like, okay, I can't win over here, or maybe I'm chasing money, or whatever his reasons was. The Phillies had a good team, maybe he thought he would have won a championship there, along with the big paycheck, left the Nationals, and the Nationals, you just got to gather the troops around. This is one of the most shocking championship wins in a long time. Outside of the Raptors, but the Warriors injuries, so I won't say that's the most shocking, but this right here is the most shocking, simply because they were losing. They were 19-31 to start the year. So the fact that they were able to lose their best player, start off slow, turn it around, and win the championship, you got to give the credit where credit is due.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even though I support New York teams, I got to give credit to the rivals. I mean, they pull off a shocking World Series run, from coming back from 3-0 down to beat the Milwaukee Brewers, taking out the Dodgers after being down 3-0 in a Game 5, sweeping the Cardinals. And now, I already said the win over the Astros. It's just, you can't argue with this. You just can't. Nobody can talk about the Nationals now.
Yes, sir.
What do you think about the team's development from their 1931 start all the way up until now, especially with adding Steven Strasburg and Howie Kendrick, all those guys that came to play in this series and the postseason as a whole?
I mean, it's a big development, you know what I'm saying? Because, like the Mets started off, I'm from New York, so, I'm a Mets fan, so I saw the Mets start off slow, turned it around. Unfortunately, the Mets wasn't able to get to the playoffs because they turned it around too late. The Nationals was able to turn it around and enough for them to actually be in the playoffs and be able to compete. And in baseball, it's different from a lot of sports. When you're in baseball, the lowest seed have a chance to win. You can say the lowest team that got to go on the road, they can win. It's unlike any sports. In most sports like NFL and NBA. When you're number one, number one or two seed, it's almost like a walking ticket to the finals or the Super Bowl. In baseball, you always have a chance to win, and the Nationals proved that by beating a Houston Astros team that I thought was the hands-on favorite to win it all.
Yeah, and when you look back at this series, was it more like the Nationals were just a better team, or just the fact that the Astros didn't necessarily show the same championship mentality they've had from 2 years ago against the Dodgers?
That's a good question. That's an excellent question. I think that, the Nationals were ready to play. The Astros just had I won't call it emotional, but they had a big matchup against the Yankees. And to be honest with you, when you look at the playoffs, the baseball playoffs, the biggest matchup everybody's World Series to a certain extent was that Yankees and Astros match, because the Yankees was the number one offensive team in baseball, and we already know about the Astros pitching with Garrett Cole. So a lot of guys, I guess the Astros must have been looking forward to that Yankees matchup, and when they bounced them in 6 games, they got to the champion, the World Series, and maybe that was the peak when they beat the Yankees. And a Nationals team that's hungry to show that they can win, especially without the best player, Bryce Harper, and just turning it around. Sometimes when you start off slow, you get hot at the right time. That's more dangerous than you being a good team the whole year. So they turned it around and they were hungry. They were winning games, and that's how that's another reason why I think they won as well. Because when you're hot at the right time, you hot at the right time. You can't be hot in winter. You got to be hot when it's summer. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, and unlike the opportunities, well, there's so many opportunities for the Astros to actually add more runs than they did, but they left like 9 or 10 runs to score position in Game 7 of that World Series. You wonder, is it more like the Astros just didn't have the offense in them, or the Nationals had better pitching?
I was surprised by the Nationals pitching in a way, you can say. I thought when it came to the pitching matchup that the Astros would have, beat 10 times the favorite, simply because of the way how Garrett Cole was playing, and they also have quality backups as well that they can put in as well. So I think the Astros they just wasn't the better team at this point, and they could have put up more runs. In the playoffs against the Yankees, they put up just enough, but they was able to stop the Yankees. So the Nationals, they were just a better team, and once you have a playoffs where a World Series, should I say, where no team is winning at home, the Nationals already got the confidence that, look, we can go in a Game 7 on the road and win in Houston, because guess what, we did it three other times. So that the confidence as well. I believe the Nationals, they were just confident that they can win, and that's why they won.
Yeah, and that's the same confidence they've had a series ago when it was the St. Louis Cardinals. I mean, you thought they were going to have a tough run against the St. Louis Cardinals, considering the Cardinals took them out in 2012 when they just got back into the playoffs, led by a certain player who's not on that team anymore. I already mentioned his name, Bryce Harper. He's probably upset that he ditched the team that won a championship. I mean, what more can you ask? But let's not forget they defeated two juggernauts to get to the World Series. Like, what do you think was wrong with the Dodgers when they lost to the Nationals?
Oh, that was shocking as well. The Dodgers was a lot of people's favorites as well. To win the whole thing as well. So I had them actually playing the Yankees in the World Series. Well, actually playing the Astros in the World Series rather, because I didn't believe the Yankees was gonna get it done, but they just were shocked. The Nationals were just hungry, in my opinion, and that's why they won. But Bryce Harper, I do believe that a part of him is like regretting the situation, but that all entails if he really wants to win. If championships is the real thing on his mind, then he will feel a type of way. But the brother did get paid, so you know what, man? If I got a 10-year, $300 million deal, man, I go right to the Bahamas, forget about it tomorrow.
Yeah, but this is one of those seasons where you learn that you don't just go to a team just because they offer the most money. You go to a team that's going to get you a chance to win. Winning is what matters in any sport. It doesn't matter how you get it done. You have to go to the better team.
Yes, sir. I totally agree with you. These players, they have the choice. You can go and win and chase the championship, or it could be about the money. And a lot of these guys, some of them, you see, all right, look, we're gonna go to the championship contender, or we just gonna take our money. But that's a decision that you have to make, because you often get criticized either way. You go to a team for the money, then it becomes a narrative in the media is, oh, he only cares about the money. He doesn't love the game. But when you go to a championship winning team and you're a nice player, then it's, oh, he stacked the deck, and he's taking the easy way out. So at the end of the day, if you as a player, you have to make a decision. Look, this is what's best for me. This is where my priorities lie. If my priorities lie in winning a championship, then I'm going to go to the championship contender, and don't worry about what other people got to say. Or if it's all about the money, then it's all about the money.
Yeah, and this is one of those things that makes a championship team complete. Steven Strasburg, who's been pitching for the Nationals since like 2010, 2011-ish, whatever. He really developed into being one of the top pitcher on that pitching staff alongside Max Scherzer, and that was what helped the Nationals keep runners off the board for the opposing teams.
Yes, sir.
Like, what is your thoughts about Max Scherzer and Steven Strasburg's performance, considering Strasburg is the MVP of the World Series?
Oh, I think they had a great performance. You know what I'm saying? I think they had a great performance, and it was, very key on the Nationals winning that World Series. They stepped up to the plate, and they was able to win. You know what I'm saying? So I think they had a great performance for sure.
Yeah, and you got to give it to them. Like, you literally got to give it to them. But let's look at the Yankees' disappointment. Like, they came so far. They overcame a lot of injury woes. They swept the Minnesota Twins just to get knocked out by the Houston Astros again. And unlike 2017 series where they did lose as well, they could protect home field advantage. Was it more the Astros were a better team offensively and defensively, or the Yankees just didn't show the same stuff they showed when they were playing the Minnesota Twins?
I think that my co-host on In the Huddle Sports Radio brought up a great point on the Yankees. The Yankees just, the Yankees basically played good for most of the year, if not all the year. Despite the injuries that they did have at one point in the season when it felt like even the daggone, referees was getting injured. I mean, everybody over the Yankees was getting injured at one point. But they still was able to maintain and win a lot of games. So they chose the wrong time to not be offensively sound, because the Yankees, to me, was the best offensive team in baseball, and they've been like that throughout the year. They were very consistent despite injuries, and I feel like, once they got to the ALCS against the Houston Astros, they picked the wrong time to struggle offensively. They did. They struggled offensively. A lot of it obviously has to do with the pitching of the Astros, but at the same time, they could have played better offensively, and they didn't, and that's why they lost.
Yeah,
because you have to outscore them. The Yankees pitching is decent, but it's not better than the Astros. So you have to win when it's a offense and defense. You have to win. You have to find a way to get that offense going, and they wasn't able to do so.
Yeah, and even though the Astros came up short in the World Series this time, you can't argue with the development of Justin Verlander since he left the Tigers, and Garrett Cole and Zach Greinke. You can't argue that pitching staff, because the Astros, they just have that deep of a team that's way deeper than the Yankees. What are your impressions about that?
I mean, to be honest with you, I'm not gonna lie. I just got into baseball, so I'm growing as we speak. But I just think it's quite frankly unbelievable. You can say that. But that's how it is, man. That's how it is.
Yeah. And you know what else how it is? The fact that we still continue to have bad New York teams, and despite the fact, I mean, it's only the first week of the season, but have you lost hope in the New York teams yet in the NBA?
Oh, in the NBA, I would say, I don't think. I mean, you're right. The New York market right now is struggling with a lot of bad teams, and it's unfortunate. We just finished talking about baseball. The Nationals won. The women's basketball team won, I believe, in D.C. So, D.C. is having a wonderful time right now. Unlike New York, who has to deal with the Jets, the Giants. Oh, my God. Don't even get me started with that foolishness over there. You got the quarterback seeing goats. Now we come to basketball. You got the Knicks and the Nets. The Knicks can't attract no free agent to save their franchise lives. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to go every other place other than New York. And it's just unbelievable. The Nets, we look at the Nets, KD, what happened? The Nets got KD and Kyrie. Kyrie, KD, we all know what happened with him and his injury. He's going to be out for the year. Don't know if he's ever going to be the same player as well. So, it's always something when it comes to New York teams. It's always a disappointment, But as far as basketball, when I look at the Nets right now, I think that, they're all middle of the pack Eastern Conference team that can you know, that can really improve. Right now, I feel like with the addition of Kyrie Irving, it's going to bring its pros and its cons.
Yeah, because Kyrie Irving has been known to suffer a lot of injuries himself. Now, we just hope that Kyrie Irving doesn't get injured. I mean, there were a lot of games where the Nets probably should have won, between a missed game-winning shot against Minnesota to losing at the buzzer to Memphis. But Kyrie Irving's shown flashes of what he could be. I mean, you can't argue with the fact that Kyrie Irving is going to make Brooklyn one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, and Kevin Durant when he comes back from his injury. I still have some confidence in them because that's how tough these players are. They had championships in the last 3 years. Kevin Durant missing 1 year is not going to affect him a lot. I mean, he's going to be 31 years old when he gets back to playing on the court. So, and LeBron was at least 31 years old when he won a championship or around that time. So you can't argue with that.
The only thing I would say is that, when you're dealing with an Achilles injury, not a lot of guys come back from that. And it's only really a few plays that you can probably count, even if you was missing two fingers. I mean, that came back and actually played to the level of how they played before. So with that injury, it's very scary. You got to think about the mental side of it. Is he going to be able to come back on the court, drive to the basket? It's not going to be the same drive because he's going to be, it's going to be with him. You look at Gordon Hayward from the Celtics, who went down that injury, broke his leg. The brother haven't been the same since. I don't care what nobody say. The brother's not the same brother that was averaging 20 points per game. You know what I'm saying? So, I look at it like that, the mental side of it, then the Nets have to adjust their offense when KD comes back. You know what I'm saying? So that's a whole nother adjustment as well. Granted, it is an 82-game season, so you do have time, but it's still going to be an adjustment. You don't know how many games they're gonna lose, trying to figure that offense out by the time playoffs arrive, but they're going to have to change their offense. It is going to be an adjustment. It's already an adjustment now with Kyrie being there because of Kyrie's style of play, which was very different from D'Lo style of play. D'Lo fell into that offense. It was the perfect situation for D'Lo because he was able to gel in that offense and move the ball. But Kyrie Irving is more of, one-on-one ISO basketball. And yes, the thing that I like about the Kyrie addition, and I'm not trying to sit here and say that it was a bad move. I like Kyrie. He's one of my favorite players to watch. Just watching him, I went to the Knicks and Nets game last week, and I was just sitting there like, wow, Kyrie Irving is box office. You know what I'm saying? He did a lot of moves where I'm like, oh my gosh, I almost dropped my popcorn. And then that shot, he brings clutchness, something that the Nets really don't have. He brings that playoff experience, that championship experience. He brings that. However, the Nets offense is going to look very different because, now with Kyrie Irving, an ISO player, guys might just be standing there on the side. And then defensively, right now, with my observation with the Nets, is right now they're not playing no sorts of defense at all. And granted, Wilson Chandler, hopefully he comes back from his suspension. I believe it was 25 games. But, you brought KD in. KD's not playing this year. So there's a few holes on this Nets team that I feel like they need to improve on if they want to really, really compete in the East. But granted, it is the East. The East is very easy compared to the Western Conference. So they will make the playoffs. The question is, how far will they go?
Yeah, they're going to be like somewhere between first and second round exit in a Kyrie Irving without Kevin Durant season. But with Kevin Durant coming back, if he was playing right now, the Nets might not be in this position right now.
Yeah. When you think about it, the Nets, they made the playoffs last year. So, to me, Kyrie Irving makes the Nets, by himself, should I say, Kyrie Irving makes the Nets maybe a playoff a playoff victory, a playoff round victory, first round victory, and we start talking about the second round in the Eastern Conference. Nothing more than that, And maybe the Eastern Conference is a little bit of a stretch because I do believe you got Philly out there that's scary. You got the Bucks out there that probably is going to win a lot of games like how they did last year. So maybe that's reaching a little bit. But, I do believe Kyrie Irving can get them at least through a first round, in my opinion.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? A lot of people don't talk about the fact that Kyrie Irving has not lost in the first round of the playoffs ever in his career.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, and we keep on talking about Kyrie Irving like he never won a championship. I mean, granted, it was because you were playing on a LeBron team, but he has championship experience. He brings that to the Brooklyn Nets. And let me ask you a question. Would you rather a duo of Kevin Durant and Kyrie or a duo of Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce back in 2014 that literally made the Knicks that's one of the wastes in New York City?
No question. A duo of Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant, no question. KG, Kevin Garnett, speaking here, and Paul Pierce, they were out of their primes when they came to the Nets. They was ready to pack up. They had the retirement plans already put in place when they came over to the Nets. So, you saw when the Nets made that move to get KG and Paul Pierce, they was thinking of win now. Or we have to win now because the window is closing for us to win a championship. And the window closed too fast. The window, they thought they had like a year or two to win a championship with those people. And they gave up a lot of assets in order to get them. But the window, it closed fast. And they had to regroup from that. They went into a frenzy for a couple seasons. And that's what a lot of these teams that do things the right way, should I say, in building up through the draft and putting a team together. That's what they have to do. So, no question, Kyrie Irving, KD, KD is one of the most prolific scorers I ever seen. Kyrie Irving is one of the most, probably the clutchest player in the NBA that I know of. Even though he had a couple opportunities to win, to have the game-winning shot this year and go down. But granted, he made a game-winning shot this year as well. So Kyrie Irving to me, him and Damian Lillard is the most clutchest point guards in the NBA. So I definitely would take that. No doubt about it.
Yeah, and it's only going to get better from this day forward if Kyrie Irving can put up a much better performance down the road of the season. And let's not forget another thing. With the New York Knicks, even though we know they're going to be a bad team, they at least prove that they can hold their own. I mean, they came all the way back and gave the Brooklyn Nets a scare last week. And they've proven that even though they did lose by double figures, they could hold their own against teams like the Magic, the Chicago Bulls, the Boston Celtics before Kemba Walker smoked them. Like, what do you think about the New York Knicks this season?
So what I think about the New York Knicks this season, honestly speaking here, and it pains me to really think about it. It pains me, but at the same time, part of me, maybe it's just the delusion of being a Knicks fan, part of me sees a light at the end of the tunnel in the future for the Knicks. But, a lot of us been saying that for the last couple of years, and look where we at right now. So maybe it's a delusion in me being a Knicks fan that can say, all right, in a few years from now, with all these young players that we got, we may could develop. But me personally, what the Knicks need to do is continue to play hard. RJ Barrett, I like the guy. He's big time. He's not movie theater popcorn, getting in your seat with popcorn and watch him. He's very fundamental. He does things the right way. He's not going to wow you. He's not electric. He's just a good, talented basketball player. And what I want the Knicks to do, they're not going to make the playoffs, obviously, but if they can show that they can compete and maybe a year or two from now, try to make the playoffs, then could attract a marquee free agent. Because, in this day and era in the NBA, you're not going to win a championship unless you have a marquee player. It's not going to happen. You know what I'm saying? You may get to the playoffs with average players, the Nets last year, the Pacers without Victor Oladipo. But you're not going to win a championship in this day and age with all that player movement and duos that they got in the NBA with LeBron James, AD, James Harden, Russ, the Splash Brothers when they back healthy. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to win a championship with no marquee free agent, Kyrie Irving and KD like we just talked about. You're not. So the next job right now is to show that they can get to the playoffs like the Nets did last year. And guess what happened? Kyrie Irving and KD saw the Nets make the playoffs without them and was like, all right, we can go there. That's a winning culture. And we feel comfortable going there. Same thing with the Clippers. They made the playoffs without essentially a star. And Kawhi, it was attractive enough for Kawhi and PG to want to get traded. Kawhi to want to go there in free agency for PG to follow with him. So the Knicks have to take a page, in my opinion, out of the Nets and Clippers book, which is try to make the playoffs on our own or try to look competitive enough for a free agent to be like, all right, you know what? It's the Mecca. Who wouldn't want to play for the Mecca? Who wouldn't want to play for the largest market in the NBA? Let's go right over there. So that's what I think about the Knicks.
Yeah, and it's only going to get worse if the Knicks don't actually listen to what we and everybody on the sports broadcasting world say about these New York Knicks. You have to continue to develop the players you have. I mean, you picked up Kevin Knox a year ago. and then you picked up R.J. Barrett just last summer. Now it's all a matter of getting that team chemistry together. Will R.J. Barrett be the same player that he was for Duke when he played alongside Zion Williamson and Cam Reddish? Will he continue to be that team first person? And matter of fact, will he be Rookie of the Year with Zion Williamson out for the first month of the season due to an injury?
It's very possible. He could really, I mean, he's playing fairly well. So it's very possible. My Rookie of the Year prediction is Ja Morant, simply because I believe he's just more electric. And, you know, in the NBA, it's a fashion. It's what I call a fashion league. You know, you got guys with the fashion, and you want to see offense and high score. You know, like the Rockets and Wizards game that was 158 to 1 something. I mean, it was a high scoring game. You know, the NBA is a fashion league, and Ja Morant brings that fashion. He brings that swagger that I think RJ may not necessarily have. And I'm not discrediting RJ and his talents. I just believe Ja Morant is more fun to watch. He's electric. He put up 37 points when the Grizzlies, or 30 around that 37. I believe it was around that when they played the Nets, and he was passing the ball. They called him a point guard for a reason. So he got his buckets. He was passing the ball. He dropped to the basket. He's electric. He reminds me of Russell Westbrook a lot. But to me, he may be a better shooter than Russell Westbrook. Who knows? So, you know, in the future. So, you know, I think his style of play is just more entertaining for fans, other than RJ Barrett's simple, strategic basketball game, the style of play that he plays. So I think I'd go Ja Morant. But RJ Barrett definitely is right up there, have a chance to win that Rookie of the Year without Zion for 6 to 8 weeks.
Yeah, and everybody knows if you miss a certain amount of weeks due to an injury, you're out of the running for any NBA award.
Yeah, pretty much, especially 6 to 8 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, Zion came along faster than I thought in the preseason. When the preseason started, brother made an instant impact. He didn't even have to really adjust. He came in and immediately felt his impact. Now, if there's anybody that can possibly, I'm not saying he's going to win, but possibly he can get back in the conversation. He's that type of player. I don't think he's going to win it because of that 6 to 8, week, missing out on that. You're missing a lot of time, but he can find his way back in the conversation because, he showed that he's just one of those players that he just instantly can do what he do. As long as you put him in the best place to succeed offensively, you're going to have a chance. So, I think he could come back and get into that conversation. But, I don't think he's going to win it this year.
Yeah, and all those questions will be answered as we come to the conclusion of this episode of Nothing But That Sports Talk. Thank you for taking your time to come in all the way from Cortland College.
No problem.
Anytime. And I hope you continue the progress of your In the Huddle radio show, and I look forward to hearing from you soon. And thank you guys for tuning in. You can check this out on Spotify or watch it on YouTube. Get your head in the game. To the Nationals and all the sports guys out there.
Yes, sir.